The Assyrian Empire, the most feared empire of all, came along. The Assyrians were feared for their military might and cruelty. Fear was their main strategy. They wanted everyone to fear them so much so that there are tales of them cutting off the heads of leaders and wearing them around their neck as necklaces, as a sign of their strength. The Assyrian Empire's greatest achievements obviously included weapons and war strategies. They were good at fighting, and they showed it all the time. They perfected the use of horses and iron weapons, and they became experts of siege warfare, which is basically attacking cities in masses. They used battering rams and banged down the doors of the cities, and then movable towers to move their soldiers back and forth as they were attacking. So as you can see here in this steely carving of a moving tower and another one. Okay, here we have a battering ram as they're knocking down the cities. In addition to being a strong military force, though, they were also great craftspeople. They developed these two-dimensional sculptures called bas-reliefs. As you can see here, they're pretty impressive. Assyrians honored their kings by building them massive, gorgeous palaces. And they also were the first to build aqueducts. The Assyrians believed that the kings were so special that they built up a capital city in Nineveh with palaces that had many, many rooms in all of these bas-reliefs. They also built around the city of Nineveh a system of canals and aqueducts to bring drinking water from about 30 miles away. That was a massive achievement for them at that point in time. The empire eventually fell due to land control issues. So, just like our friends the Akkadians, having all this land to control, and as you can see it's massive because it reaches from the Persian Gulf to Egypt. They spread out too far, too quickly, hard for them to talk to each other, and definitely hard for their army to control all the conquered lands. So, question break. Why did the Akkadian and Assyrian empires fall? Was it A, limited natural resources, B, land control issues, C, plague, or D, fire and floods? Take a minute, enter your answer. So, after the fall of Nineveh, the Babylonians took over once again, this time calling themselves the Neo-Babylonian Empire. Neo meaning new. King Nebuchadnezzar expanded his empire whenever he could. He was a ruthless military leader, and he led the Neo-Babylonians. One thing he thought was very important was to keep the city of Babylon safe. Okay, remember that was the center of their trade when they were the Babylonian Empire. So he built inner and outer walls and even moats around it. He took over and conquered other empires as much as he could, including Canaan, or present-day Israel. One thing that Nebuchadnezzar tried to restore was the splendor of the Babylon had enjoyed under Hammurabi. So he rebuilt the city's ziggurats and even constructed the Ishtar Gate, which you can see here. This beautiful, beautiful structure that he put in the city. He also built these hanging gardens. As you can see, they are beautiful, lush gardens that just kind of cascaded down the side of the palace. The greatest achievement was these gardens. It was very impressive for them at the time. They also were skilled in mathematics and astronomy. They created the first sundial, which is a way of telling time. The discoveries from that eventually gave us our 60 minutes per hour and our 7-day week. All of these things were viewed as great wonders of the ancient world. But, just like the three other empires, the Neo-Babylonian Empire soon fell as well. And this one lasted for the shortest amount of time. It lasted only about 75 years to eventually be conquered by the Persians. A new conqueror named Cyrus came in from the east and took over Babylon. He was the leader of the Persian Empire at the time, and he ruled for about 200 years. This right here, as you can see, is the Declaration of Human Rights that was written in cuneiform by King Cyrus, and it was a clay tablet uncovered in the Marduk ziggurat in Babylon. So this is how we know about the Persians. But we're not going to spend much time on the Persians. We will learn about them later, because they were eventually conquered by a man named Alexander the Great. He's a pretty interesting fella, so we're going to talk about him some more in a bit. Alright, so now that we've talked about all four Mesopotamian empires, I want you to answer the following question. In what order did the four empires of Mesopotamia hold power? You can see there your options: A is Akkadian, B is Assyrian, C is Babylonian, and D is Neo-Babylonian. So put them in order, time order, based on when they held power. And finally, I want you to take a few minutes to think about the rise and fall of the four empires. I want you, in your words, to summarize what is the main idea of this chapter. And I also would like you to write one probing question you still have after watching this video. We're going to talk about that information when I see you in class. I want to thank you again for doing your homework, and I look forward to discussing all these empires together.